Hi guys, today's video is going to be super fun because we're coming up to the end of the year and there's a lot of things that I want to reflect on that has happened this year, and I thought that we could do a video talking about all of the palettes that I almost bought this year. Like, I was this close to buying these palettes, but for some reason or another they just didn't end up in my collection, and I want to talk about it because I just think that that could be a fun thing to do. So I have just over 10 palettes on my list that I want to talk about, but before we get into that, like I said, it is a holiday season, so this video is sponsored by Louisa. You guys know I've worked with Louisa so many times in the past. I absolutely love their jewelry. If you're unfamiliar with the brand, they are a sustainable jewelry brand, and they make amazing jewelry that ranges from like $39 and up. They have basically something for everybody, and it's a great thing to give as a gift to people who like jewelry because all of their pieces are very classic, but they're also kind of statementy at the same time depending on what you pick out, and they have pieces that just go with everything. So I love their pieces. You see me wear them all the time. I'll show you the pieces that they ended up sending me this time to show off to you. Now, I'm not wearing all of them today. I am wearing these earrings, which are these Zion earrings. I really love these. I think that having small hoop earrings in a gold or silver color is just going to go with whatever outfit you end up wearing. They look very classy. You can dress them up, you can dress them down, just wear them with basically anything. And they also sent me two of these earrings. Now, let me tell you, usually how these collaborations work is that they send me an email and a form to fill out, and they say, pick out your top 10 pieces from our website and we'll send you 3 of them. So basically, I usually try to pick out like a necklace and some earrings, maybe a ring, and like try to get different kind of pieces. And this time they ended up sending me 2 that are quite similar, and I really wanted both of them because I think that they are both beautiful. But if it was up to me, I would have gotten more of a variety to show you guys. So I am wearing some other necklaces today, which I absolutely love. So I will show you some close-ups of these as well, and I will try to link everything that I'm wearing down below, and not just the pieces that they sent me this time, because the ones that I'm wearing are honestly some of the pieces that I wear the most. Like, I love layering their necklaces. I think that they look so good together, and I'm wearing 2 separate ones today, and these are, like I said, some of my favorites. But I will show you some close-ups of the earrings as well. So the blue earrings here are called the Hannah Hibiscus ones. They're both called the same. These are just called blue. I think these are beautiful. I also really like the yellow ones. These are called Sun. I think these are going to be the perfect earrings for the spring. They're maybe not so Christmassy and festive, but I think that having them in my jewelry wardrobe, is that a thing? I think I'm going to get a lot of use out of it, and I really like them. And honestly, these tend to be on sale a lot of the time as well. You can use my code, I think it's Annette's Makeup 10 for 10% off. I will have the exact code on the screen just so I don't mess it up, which will always save you 10% off on Anna Louisa's jewelry. So if you are looking for a nice gift for someone that you love, someone who loves jewelry, please check out Anna Louisa because they have some really, really amazing pieces. And they're also a brand that I really stand behind. I like their messaging. I will highly recommend you check out their website down below to read more about the brand. Like I said, they are a sustainable brand, and they are now carbon neutral, which is something that I have worked towards for a long time, and they reached that goal earlier this year, I want to say. And all of their jewelry come packaged in these small little pouches, which are great for not only storing the jewelry but also for traveling with. So I usually keep mine because I think that they're just really, really nice. So yeah, go ahead and check out their website. I will link them down below as per usual. Thank you so much to Anna Louisa for sponsoring this video. Let's go ahead and talk about some palettes because I have, like I said, quite a long list of palettes that I would like to talk about. Now, of course, I do have to preface this by saying that if I wasn't on all the PR lists that I'm on, this list would have been a lot different because I wouldn't have had all of the palettes in my hands, and I would have had to make tougher decisions on what to buy and what not to buy if I didn't get as much PR as I did. So just wanted to kind of throw that out there. But let's go ahead and talk about the palettes that I don't even know. I was so close to buying all of these palettes, and it was mostly like timing related why I didn't pick them up. So let's start with Clarity Cosmetics because I want to talk about them as a whole because they have come out with quite a few palettes that I've been very interested in. They had the Cobra palette, which looked amazing. They had the Mermaid palette. They've come out with, I think, 4 palettes that I've wanted all of them, but I think my problem with their palettes is that number 1, they have very, very large pan size. It's kind of like Gimme Glow, and it's one thing that sort of puts me off buying eyeshadows because I don't need that much eyeshadows, and I feel like the palettes would have been cheaper if the pans were just smaller, and like it's a little bit overwhelming. I don't know what it is, but I don't need that much eyeshadow. And I've also heard kind of polarizing reviews on the brand. Like some people seem to really like Clarity and other people are like, no, I hate them. Like I can't get the shimmers to work for me, or the mattes are patchy. And I'm just over here like, I don't really know if I care enough to try it if it doesn't like get a decent review across the board. So I just haven't picked anything up. Let me know if you've tried the brand. I would love to hear what you think, and if you've had any issues with them, like what is their customer service like, let me know down below, because I am interested in the brand, but I need to be convinced in order for me to pick up any of their palettes. But their color stories are so beautiful, and I think that if I had them, I would like them. But it's just like keeping me back a little bit from buying them. Another palette that I was so close to buying, when I saw the sneak peek, I literally was like, I'm buying that. Like, I am so buying that. I think that looks so good. And this is from Colored Rain, and it's their B palette. So this is just a 6-pan. It's so cute. I feel like it kind of looks like a neutral palette, but honestly, I don't think it's a neutral palette at all because it doesn't really have any neutrals in it. It leans kind of orangey, yellowy, but it has a black in it, and I feel like you could go really deep and dramatic with it, and the shimmers in it look beautiful. I think they did a really good job curating a very cute 6-pan palette that goes with the theme, and I don't really know why I didn't end up picking this up. I think that I just had a lot going on at the time when this was released, and I sort of forgot about it. I think it's because I didn't set an alarm to pick up this palette, and by the time I realized it had launched, I felt like it was just a little bit too late to review, and I also don't think that Colored Rain is that hyped anymore. Let me know if I'm wrong, but I just feel like it's a brand that people don't really seem to care that much about. I feel like they've come out with quite a few nice palettes this year, but I've seen maybe like 2 of my friends review them. So if that's a brand that you want me to review, I can definitely pick up some of their next palettes because I do think that they look really, really nice. But for some reason, I just didn't end up picking this one up, even though I'm still looking at it and I'm like, should I get this palette? Because it is so pretty, and I think if I had it, I would really like it. Next palette. This is a palette that I don't think any of you would have expected me to review if I picked this up. And I think if this had released now and not so early this year, I feel like my makeup preferences has kind of changed a lot this year. I don't know what it is. Like, I'm way more drawn to neutrals than I used to be. And when I see this palette now, I'm like drooling. Like, this is so pretty. This is the Read My Mind palette from Nabla. I don't even know if this is available anymore, and I don't have a lot of experience with Nabla, but I'm looking at this and I'm like, I can see so many looks that I would love with this palette, and I just think if I had it in my hands, I would have a really good time with it. I think that the formulas in it look really good. Like, I can kind of tell just from looking at the textures in the pans that I would like this. So if this had launched now, like today, I would pick this up and review it. But I do feel like at this point, it's a little bit too late. But I don't know. I did just end up picking up one of the large Pat McGrath palettes during the sale. So, I mean, who knows? Am I going to do a video on it? I don't know. Maybe I'll just insert it into my Makeup Diaries series and play with it on my own. But I might make a video anyway because I spent my money on it. I might as well, right? So let me know if you want to see that. But this palette, I keep looking at it, I'm like, I kind of want this still. But as a YouTuber, I'm gonna pass on this and just be sad about it because I think if I had it, I'd love it. The next palette is one that when I first saw this, I was like, you know what? I'm getting this one too. And this is the Cleona Dragon Fruit collection. This was a collaboration that they did with a YouTuber that I don't follow. I don't remember her name, but the palette itself is really pretty. But I just think there was something about the packaging on this palette that made me not want to purchase it. Like, it was in that plastic packaging that, I don't know, for me it just made it look a little bit cheap. And I think that if this was a bundle maybe of single shadows, maybe I would have picked it up. And I also didn't like the fact that 2 of these shades were larger shades. Like, were they supposed to be like highlighters for the face? Like, what is the deal with that? Like, why not just put in 4 regular shades instead of those 2 long shapes to mess up the sizes of the pans and the palette? It just looks messy. And I also I'm not the biggest fan, saying that I'm literally wearing this on my eyes today. Like, I'm not the biggest fan of pink shimmers, and it's something that I've kind of come to realize. And there's just, I mean, I like this look, but I just didn't feel like I needed all of these pink and purple shimmers in my collection. Like, I have so many of these already that I don't think that, even though they are from Cleona, I don't think they would add that much to my collection. So I passed on it, but I still look at this and I'm like, it's a really pretty palette, and it is an all shimmer palette. But I think if this had come in a different packaging and maybe like cardboard, I would have bought it. But the packaging, I think, is the one thing that kind of threw this palette off for me personally. The next palette is a palette that every time I see this palette, there is something in me that just goes, that is so pretty. And I would love that if I had it, but I just did not need it, but I wanted it. And if this was from a different brand, I probably would have purchased it, which sounds stupid because this is a ColourPop palette. And this is the, I don't even know the name of this, One and Done collection. There is something that just speaks to me about the color story in this palette. And I know it's almost a neutral palette. It has some pink shimmers. I just said I don't really like pink shimmers that much, but I just think that the combination between these colors looks so good, and it's a very well executed, not only palette, but collection as well. But because it's from ColourPop, and because when I order from ColourPop, it always takes forever to get to me, by the time I'd gotten this palette, if I were to get it for review, they would have come out with 3 more collections, and this would have been old news. So I didn't end up picking it up, and it's honestly one of the reasons I never buy ColourPop palettes, because they just take so long to get to me, and I don't want to pay for express shipping for something that's going to cost the same as buying express shipping. So I don't know. I want to start reviewing more ColourPop. Do you want to see that? I mean, I've gotten one PR package from ColourPop, but I don't think I'm on their A list. Like, I think I'm on their D list. You know, maybe I'm gonna get like 1 package a year and it's gonna be all old stuff that nobody cares about anymore. So I'm not really sure. Like, I always say I want to keep reviewing ColourPop or start reviewing ColourPop, and then I never do. But I really like a lot of their collections, and a lot of their newest palettes have looked really good, including this one. And it was one that I still kind of wish that I picked up, but I don't know, man. I don't know. The next palette is one that I really thought that I was getting this palette in PR, and that is probably the reason why I don't have it, but I've still considered picking it up after the fact. And this is the Michaela and Glamlight collab. Now, I am on Glamlight's PR list. I've gotten everything that they've come out with in the past probably 2 years, and I really thought that I would get this palette in PR as well, just because I am on their PR list. So I didn't want to buy it myself because, like I said, like, I expected to get it. But I guess since it is a collab, she was the one who decided who was going to be on the PR list, so it didn't get sent out to everybody. Like I say, I think she was in charge of who to send it to, and I didn't make the cut because she probably doesn't know who I am, which is fair enough. But I really wanted this palette, and I was excited to see it was a collab with her. I think that she is a very talented makeup artist, and I really wanted to try this. I think the color story is beautiful, but at the end of the day, after it had been released and I saw people do videos on it, it just felt like, for me, it's too late for me to buy this now. And I know it's such a petty thing to say, and like, it's totally a YouTuber thing, and don't listen to this if you're a regular consumer. Like, buy whatever you want when you want. Don't buy stuff on release. Like, I would highly recommend you to not buy stuff when it's releasing, unless it's something that's probably going to sell out. But yeah, I really want this palette still. I think the color story is beautiful, and I think that maybe if it was a smaller palette that was a little bit less overwhelming, I probably would have bought it after the fact anyway. But the thought of reviewing this palette, because it's so big, it's so many shades, I would have to do so many looks in order to feel like I got a good review out of it. And I just probably wouldn't have time to give it enough of a playtime to feel like I got my review down. So I don't know, I'm happy for Michaela. I really want this palette still, but I don't think I'm going to pick it up. Just as a YouTuber, I need to spend my time more on like newer releases, because it's just better for my channel, and I honestly don't mind it. Like, I can look at a palette and appreciate it from afar. It doesn't mean I need to own it. I should probably mention more than one palette in this next category, but this is just Vanessa Myers in general. She has come out with the Lightworks palette, like all of those beautiful all shimmer palettes. They look so pretty. And as someone who loves all shimmer palettes, they've really drawn me in. But there's always been 1 or 2 things about those palettes that's made me not want to buy them. And number one, they're expensive. And so I feel like if I'm gonna buy one of the palettes from her, I really need to want and use all of the shades. And I feel like in all of her palettes, maybe except for the smaller one, which is the one that I honestly wanted the most, this was the Lightwork 3 Experience palette, which was a 8-pan like small palette with just like I guess the most popular shades or something. I'm not really exactly sure what was in this, but it looked really pretty, but I think that it had a little too many kind of neutral shimmers in it that I wouldn't reach for that often, and I'm sure they were all beautiful multi-chromes, but looking at it, this would be the one that I would probably want to pick up just to try the formula. But her larger ones, they all had like different formulas within the palette that I just wasn't sure if I would really get along with. Like I remember I was at the second one, had like those big flaky shades, and it also had some water activated shades, and those were all the large pans in the middle of the palette. And I was like, I don't think I'm really gonna like any of those 4 shades, and those 4 shades alone probably cost the most because they're the largest pans, and it would just feel like a bit of a waste to get that palette for the other, was it 10 shades? Which, don't get me wrong, they looked beautiful, but I just felt like if I'm not gonna like all the formulas in it, I don't want to get it. And I think that the first palette she came out with also had some of those flaky shades. I could be wrong, but I think that the first palette caught my eye, but not enough to want to buy it. But then I've seen a lot of people like speak really highly about her brand as a whole. So I don't know. I think also she had like some creamy shimmers in it, which I don't want to have creams on my eyes. They're just going to crease. So I don't think that's going to work out for me. But it's another one of those that I'm just going to appreciate them from afar. I think they look really pretty. And I think if I had them, I would like some of the shades, but maybe not all of them. So it wouldn't be probably the best value for me to pick those up. The next palette is one that has been released pretty recently, and I think it launches on Black Friday. I don't know when this video is going up. It might go up after, but this is the new palette from Give Me Glow, and this is the Haunted Pumpkin palette. And I'm sure something went wrong in production with this, and that is why it's launching after Halloween. Like, this is a very Halloween-y palette to me, but I do feel like the color story in this is beautiful. I think the one thing that makes me hesitant to buy this is just because I don't like the shimmer choices with the matte choices in this palette. I just think that the shimmers are a little too dark. Like, there's a very dark teal shimmer, and I'm like, what am I gonna pair that with? There's not even a dark teal matte. There's not a black matte. There's a dark brown matte, which is beautiful. I think the matte selection in this palette is stunning, so pretty. If this was an all matte palette, I would be all over it. But because of those 3 shimmers that I just don't really like the colors of, I'm not gonna pick this palette up, but it is one that if tweaked a little bit, I would be so interested and I would be all over it and I would buy it. And I'm still kind of looking at this being like, I could probably make this work. Like, I could make this work if I wanted to. I could pull in other things if I wanted to, but for review purposes, if I were to just use this on its own, I don't think I would love it. And so I don't think it's fair to the palette to buy a palette already knowing beforehand that I'm not gonna like the color story, because I just know I'm not gonna give it the best review because I know what I like. And so I don't wanna buy this and be like, I knew I wasn't gonna like this and I don't like it. The last palette is a very new palette from ColourPop. I really like the ColourPop color stories. It's ColourPop, and it's just hard for me to want to review. But if you want to see me start reviewing ColourPop more often, let me know. I can do that. They're affordable. If it doesn't get that many views, I guess whatever, right? It would still be fun to play with. So this is the Muppets palette that is the Halloween Christmas collection that they just did. I've seen some videos on this and it looks like such a beautiful palette and such a pretty color story, and it has those glowing lips in it, which I really like that formula. So very tempted by this, but at this point I'm not gonna pick it up. I think it's a little too late, but I think the color story is so fun, and I love that very dark blue matte in here, and there's a very dark brown in here that's gonna go really nice with all of these colors. The blue shimmer in the palette looks stunning, and I think the color story in this is really fun. So yeah, ColourPop, they get me, but they don't get me enough to want to buy it. I would love to hear which palettes that you have had on your mind this year that you almost picked up but you didn't. Like I said, my list would have been probably a lot longer if I wasn't on all the PR lists. Let me know if you want to see a video of PR I wouldn't have bought but I ended up loving, or just PR that I received this year that I wouldn't have bought myself, and just what I think about it. Maybe that could be an interesting video. Let me know if you want to see that. So I think that's going to be it for today. don't forget to check out Louisa for some beautiful jewelry if you are interested. And if you want to see some more chatty videos, I have a ranking playlist. I'll put that right there. That will probably be fun for you. If you're new, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.